Every anime fan knows the thrill of a great villain, but what if that villain doesn't stay a villain? What if the monster who terrified us in episode 1 becomes the character we cry for, cheer for, and respect the most? Today, we're counting down the top 10 anime where the villain becomes the hero. Some of these arcs are legendary, some are controversial, but all of them prove one thing: nobody is beyond redemption. So buckle up, spoilers ahead, and yes, number 1 is exactly who you think it is, so don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon so you don't miss our next top 10 anime breakdowns. Kicking off our list is the super shipwright of the Straw Hat Pirates, Franky. It's almost hard to believe now, given his status as a core member of the crew, but when we first met Franky in Water 7, he was a serious antagonist. As the boss of the Franky family, a gang of ship dismantlers and bounty hunters, he made a brutal first impression. He and his crew didn't just get in the Straw Hat's way, they ambushed us up, beat him to a pulp, and stole 200 million berries, the crew's entire fortune. This act was so heinous it nearly tore the Straw Hats apart and instantly placed him on everyone's hit list. But this is one piece, and there's always more beneath the surface. Franky's goofy, Speedo-wearing, cola-powered cyborg personality started to shine through, but his tragic backstory is what sealed the deal for fans. Abandoned by his pirate parents, he was taken in by the legendary shipwright Tom, who taught him everything he knew. Tom was also the man who built the Oro Jackson Gold D. Rogers ship, a fact that put him in the crosshairs of the world government. Franky's own inventions were stolen and used to frame his mentor, leading to Tom's execution and Franky's own life-altering injuries. This trauma defined him, but his passion for building ships never died. His story comes full circle when he pours his heart, soul, and his remaining money into building the Thousand Sunny for the Straw Hats. This act of atonement, combined with the realization that the Straw Hats were the kind of free-spirited pirates he always admired, led him to officially join them as their loyal, big-hearted, and utterly irreplaceable shipwright. Coming in at number 9 is one of the most tragic figures on this entire list, Krona from Soul Eater. When we first meet Krona, they're an antagonist, but not a conventional one. They are a timid, deeply unstable child who has been horribly abused and manipulated by their mother, the witch Medusa Gorgon. Fused with the sentient demon weapon Ragnarok, who constantly bullies them, Krona was merely a pawn in Medusa's cruel experiments, forced into battles they desperately wanted to avoid. Medusa's goal was to toughen Krona up, to turn them into a Kishin, a being of pure madness, and to do so, she forced them to kill and absorb souls. Everything changes after their fight with Maka Albarn. Instead of meeting them with more violence, Maka sees the suffering soul underneath the madness and offers pure, unconditional friendship. That single act of kindness begins one of the most compelling character arcs in the series. Krona's journey isn't a straight line. They are riddled with so much trauma that they struggle to even understand how to deal with kindness. They falter and are even manipulated by Medusa into betraying their new friends, acting as a spy within the DWMA. But that struggle only makes their final choice to atone feel all the more earned. In the end, Krona chooses to fight for good, gaining the courage to stand up to Medusa, and ultimately making a great sacrifice to help contain a greater evil, proving that even a soul steeped in madness can find its way to the light. Very few characters have an introduction as chilling as Gaara of the Desert. When he arrived for the Chunin exams, he was a sadistic killer who viewed other people as nothing more than proof of his own existence, insects to be crushed. Like Naruto, he was a Jinchuriki, despised by his own village for the monster sealed within him. But Gaara's pain was on another level. His own father, the fourth Kezikage, repeatedly tried to assassinate him, even ordering his beloved uncle Yashimaru to kill him. This ultimate betrayal drove him into a dark abyss where he believed killing was the only way to feel alive. It took a brutal drag-out fight with Naruto, another lonely kid who refused to give up, to finally shatter his wall of hatred. Seeing Naruto fight so desperately for his friends, people Gaara would have discarded without a thought, forced Gaara to question everything. That one battle sparked a complete transformation. He began to make amends, even showing up to save Rock Lee during the Sasuke recovery mission. This led him down a path to not just become a hero, but the Kezikage, the beloved and respected leader of his village. His journey came full circle when the Akatsuki extracted his tailed beast, killing him. He was revived by an elder of his village, and when he awoke, he was surrounded by his entire village, who had fought desperately to save him, the first time he had ever truly felt loved and accepted by his people. This might be our most controversial pick, the current #1 hero endeavor, For most of My Hero Academia, Endeavor wasn't just All Might's rival, he was an abusive, obsessive man who destroyed his family to satisfy his own ego. His all-consuming desire to surpass All Might led him to arrange a quirk marriage, marrying a woman for her ice powers in the hopes of breeding a child who could master both fire and ice. This led him to abuse his wife Rai and his children, inflicting deep trauma, especially on his masterpiece Shoto and his firstborn Toya. For many fans, his actions remain unforgivable, and the series doesn't shy away from that. After All Might's retirement handed him a hollow victory, Endeavor was finally forced to confront the wreckage he'd made of his life. His redemption arc isn't about forgiveness. An argument can be made he hasn't earned it. It is instead a slow, painful, and ongoing attempt at atonement. He is actively trying to be a better man, fighting not for glory, but to face the inner demons he created. This journey forces the audience to question if he even deserves redemption, making his arc one of the most morally complex and fascinating in modern anime. At number 6, we have the Iron Dragon Slayer, Gajeel Red Fox. When Gajeel first appeared, he was an S-rank mage for the Phantom Lord Guild, Fairy Tail's fiercest rival. He wasn't just an enemy, he was brutal and cruel, and seemed to relish every moment of the conflict. In one of the series' most infamous moments, he ambushed Levi McGarden, Jet, and Droy defeated them, and then crucified them to a tree for all of Fairy Tail to see. He was a terrifying foe for Natsu. But after Phantom Lord's defeat, Gajeel was left adrift, a powerful mage without a purpose. Then, in a stunning act of grace, Fairy Tail's master, Makarov, offered him a spot in their guild, believing that the younger generation deserved a chance to find the right path. That singular act of mercy set Gajeel on the road to redemption. He started as a gruff, standoffish loner who many in the guild refused to trust. However, being a part of Fairy Tail slowly chipped away at his walls. He even took a blow meant for Levi, the very person he'd previously brutalized, marking a major turning point. He found friends, a family, and eventually love, becoming one of the guild's most loyal and ferocious protectors. At number 5 is the Ishvalan warrior known only as Scar. When we first meet him, Scar is a terrifying serial killer hunting state alchemists with ruthless efficiency. He is vengeance personified, driven by the genocide of his people in the Ishvalan Civil War. His arm, which bears the power of deconstruction alchemy, was gifted to him by his dying brother. In his eyes, every state alchemist is a monster who played a role in destroying his home. His journey is about questioning that all-consuming hatred. As he begins to uncover the deeper conspiracy that truly caused the war, he is forced to ally with the very people he despises. His encounters with the Elric brothers and, crucially, Winry Rockbell force him to confront his own violent cycle. He learns that in his initial blind rage, he had killed Winry's parents, 2 Amestrian doctors who were trying to save his life. This devastating realization, and seeing Winry choose not to seek revenge, forces him to see the futility of his own path. In the end, Scar chooses justice over revenge, fighting alongside his former enemies to defeat a greater evil and ultimately using his powers to help rebuild his nation. Meruem, the Ant King, is less a villain and more a walking natural disaster. Born to be the perfect being and the pinnacle of evolution, he begins as a creature of pure ego and instinct, viewing humans as nothing more than livestock. He is terrifying, overwhelmingly powerful, and utterly devoid of empathy, killing his own kind without a second thought. His entire world is turned upside down by a simple board game, Gunji, and the small blind girl who has mastered it, Komugi. Through their countless matches, Meruem begins to experience things he never knew existed: respect, frustration, and eventually, a deep and profound love. His bond with Komugi awakens his humanity, forcing him to question his purpose and the very definition of strength. Meruem's arc isn't about becoming a traditional hero, it's about him discovering his own soul. After a fatal battle with Chairman Netero, Meruem's final wish is not to conquer the world, but to spend his last moments playing Gunji with Komugi. His death, holding her hand as they both succumb to poison, is one of the most beautiful and tragic stories in all of anime, showcasing a monster who found his humanity at the very end of his life. For most of Naruto, Itachi Uchiha was the ultimate villain, not just to his brother Sasuke, but to everyone. He was a prodigy who single-handedly slaughtered his entire clan, sparing only his younger brother. He spent years tormenting Sasuke, deliberately pushing him down a path of pure hatred, telling him to resent him and grow strong enough to one day kill him. As far as anyone knew, he was a cold-blooded monster. But the truth, when it was finally revealed, was absolutely devastating. Itachi was never the villain. He was a hero forced into an unthinkable choice. Acting as a double agent on orders from the village elders, he massacred his clan to prevent a coup d'etat that would have plunged the world into war. Every cruel act, every taunting word to Sasuke, was part of a selfless, tragic plan to protect his village and mold his brother into the hero who would one day avenge the Uchiha by killing him, thereby restoring the clan's honor. He even planned for his death to free Sasuke from Orochimaru's curse mark. Itachi lived and died a villain in the eyes of the world, all to preserve peace from the shadows. Of course, you can't talk about Itachi without discussing the character whose life he completely defined. At number 2 is Sasuke Uchiha. For the entire first half of the series, Sasuke is Naruto's rival and friend, but his deep-seated trauma and hunger for power send him down a dark path. Consumed by the need for vengeance, he abandons his village and his friends, becoming a true antagonist who allies with dangerous criminals like Orochimaru. After he finally gets his revenge on Itachi, the shattering truth sends him even deeper into darkness. He becomes a full-blown villain, seeking to destroy the very village his brother died to protect. He attacks the Five-Cage Summit and is willing to sacrifice his own teammates to achieve his goal. His journey back is long and complicated. It is only after a final world-altering battle with Naruto that Sasuke finally concedes defeat and accepts his friend's path of peace. His redemption isn't a simple apology. It's a lifelong journey of atonement. He chooses to travel the world, protecting the Leaf Village from the shadows, much like his brother did, paying penance for his sins and finding his own way to be a hero. Was there ever any doubt? Topping our list is the Prince of All Saiyans, Vegeta. His redemption arc is arguably the most famous in anime history, essentially writing the playbook for the trope. When Vegeta first landed on Earth, he was an arrogant, genocidal maniac. He sought immortality via the Dragon Balls and was more than happy to blow up the planet and everyone on it to get what he wanted. His only motivations were his Saiyan pride and his insatiable thirst for power. After his humiliating defeat by Goku and the Zid fighters, he is forced into a reluctant alliance to take down Frieza on planet Namek. Stranded on Earth, he slowly, and I mean slowly, begins to change. He starts a family with Bulma and finds himself protecting the very planet he once tried to conquer. His rivalry with Goku never fades, but it evolves from a murderous obsession into a drive for self-improvement. It all culminates in the Buu Saga, where, after a brief but terrifying relapse into evil as Majin Vegeta, he finally realizes what he's truly fighting for. His selfless sacrifice to save his family and the world he'd grown to love, complete with a heartfelt internal monologue about Goku, Trunks, and Bulma, is the ultimate payoff, cementing him as one of anime's greatest redeemed heroes. And that's our list. From vengeful warriors to tragic princes, these 10 characters prove just how powerful a great redemption story can be. They showcase the complexity of human and non-human nature, exploring themes of forgiveness, atonement, and the capacity for change. They're a reminder that the journey from villain to hero is one of the most incredible tales anime has to offer. What do you think? Who is your favorite villain turned hero? Did we miss anyone you think deserved a spot? Let us know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.